Let's see if this works.
Paper.
We should be live. Let's do the countdown. For the love of God, are we live? Is
Yes,
it
we are.
clear?
We're live. I don't know if we're clear yet, but
I want to be clearer than fucking Tom Cruise after a Scientology retreat.
it's going to be tough to beat. The intro looked good. The little clock screen looked good. Oh, we look great.
Oh my God.
We look great.
Holy fucking shit.
About damn time.
All right, let me
Jesus.
pop out chat real quick.
I completely apologize for all of that. That is my internet service provider's fault. So somebody is going to be getting a phone call from this big boy tomorrow. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to have to change out my fucking router or what they're going to have to do. I can literally watch 4K videos, no problem. But when I try to stream, it gives me like 56K internet. So it's trash. Dark Waters. That's the other movie.
Dude, this has been the most stressful 2 days of Two Guys in a Trailer's career.
But you know what? We will overcome.
You said come.
I also said overcome.
So, now that we're here and we're clear, we're here, we're clear. Let's get it.
You know what's not clear?
What's that? Dark Waters?
Water in West Virginia.
You want to talk about Dark Waters first?
Yeah, so speaking of the water in West Virginia, Dark Waters is one of the movies that we have on tap for tonight. If you haven't seen it, damn fine piece of documentary-esque film. You already have IMDb pulled up or whatever on it?
Yeah, I've got it all pulled up.
Okay.
So, Dark Waters, directed by Todd Haynes, produced by Mark Ruffalo, and also starring Mark Ruffalo, along with Anne Hathaway and Tim Robbins and Bill Pullman. Has a pretty good cast.
Can I just say, Anne Hathaway still got it, dude.
Can we just say there's some nerd out there that fangasmed at the fact that the Hulk and Catwoman were married in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. You.
Well, don't judge.
It was totally you. You thought of that, therefore.
No, it was mentioned in one of the reviews that I watched, and I was like, yep, somebody fangirled over that.
Oh, okay.
Runtime of 126 minutes.
Just over 2 hours.
I don't have, it's not showing me the budget for some reason, but the box office, it made 16.7 million. It does not tell me what the budget was.
IMDb's not showing you that?
Yeah, nothing's showing me what the budget is. So, I don't fucking know.
Box office of 11.8 million. I would say it probably
16.7 is what I'm showing.
Oh, well, where is this shit I'm looking at coming from? Oh, this is from Wikipedia. So it's odd that it shows you that, but it doesn't have the budget.
Fucking well-oiled machine over here.
Yeah. I tell you what, there were a couple of people in this movie that played their part to a T. Anne Hathaway is one, Mark Ruffalo is the other, and Tim Robbins was just absurdly good in this movie.
Dude, I'll be honest. I think, like, Mark Ruffalo, he always does a great job, but Anne Hathaway did a phenomenal job playing his wife in this movie. Like, a great job.
She wasn't in it a lot, which was kind of a bummer because I'm a huge Anne Hathaway fan. for the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So, um, but no, I thought it was a very well put together movie, and I had heard a while ago through the grapevine, through the conspiracy theory network or whatever you want to call it, that that all of this was going on and these legal battles were actually a thing, and DuPont was this and DuPont was that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, man, I will never buy another Teflon pan in my life. Never, ever, not, no way, fuck that. If
Well,
you have Teflon pans in your house, get fucking rid of them.
well, to an extent, but at the same point, at the end of the movie, so just a basic summary of the movie. It is about the lawyer that went after DuPont because during the course of them manufacturing Teflon, it turns out that one of the chemicals that they used is basically fucking deadly towards humans. It causes all
Yeah.
type of different type of cancers, birth defects, and all kinds of shit.
It's
DuPont
literally cancer.
DuPont knew about it. They did their own testing in house, and they
Hold
covered it
up.
up.
Saying that they did testing in house is an understatement to actual scientific testing. What they did was they took this C8 byproduct of manufacturing Teflon. They laced it with they laced cigarettes with it, gave them to the workers, and then watched them get cancer.
Well, yeah,
These
but
fucking people are unbelievable.
they also did it to rats. The rats all grew tumors. They also had all of the women that were working on the Teflon line, like all of their kids, as they had kids, they all were born with birth defects. So like they did testing, if you want to call it that. Like
Yeah, they did
they
testing
did they did
about
testing like Hitler did testing and
I was
like,
just fixing to say about like Hitler did testing.
yeah.
You know, let's
So
see if we can sew two people together. That's the kind of testing we're talking about. Like, I knew these companies were fucked up. I did not know it was to this extent. And dude, it's really hard to look around your house and see everything that DuPont has their fucking name on.
yep.
But dude, if I could never give them another dime of my money, I would be fucking ecstatic about it.
Well, and so that's kind of what the movie's about, like the lawyer that went after him, right? Because he has a farmer that's from West Virginia, which was like the main hub of where all this was going on, which explains a lot about West Virginia, really. But it
When
does,
you think about it,
yeah. But he comes by Mark Ruffalo's office because all of his fucking cattle are dying. Like it, so he's like, dude, something's going on. Like they bought this manufacturing facility right next to my land, or they bought land right next to my ranch and built this giant waste dump, and then all of his fucking cows started dying.
yep.
So, but it's what's crazy about it is the level of corruption that it does expose, and the fact that for this movie to get made, you know that it couldn't have exposed all of the corruption.
Oh no.
That's what's crazy to me. Like what you see is insane, but then when you think about it, that can only be like the tip of the iceberg. Like it even ends with a little bit of it saying that this C8, which is the chemical, is known as a forever chemical.
Yeah.
In that, like once it's in your body, it's always there. There's nothing you can do about it,
Yeah,
and that 99.9% of the human populace has C8 in
Yeah.
their body, and it's only one of
99%.
thousands of forever chemicals that are used.
Yeah. 99. Think about that for 1 second. 99% of people on the planet have C8 in their bloodstream.
Yeah.
That means everybody you know and everybody you have ever known times 100. That's still not even close to how many people have this in their bloodstream. Literally everybody.
Yeah, everybody. The only people that don't are like Amish people, I'm assuming.
And they probably do at some point.
So, I mean, but the fact that, like, this is just one chemical out of thousands Like the lawyer is still in active litigation against multitudes of companies right now that are doing the exact same thing that DuPont did. And DuPont essentially got off with a fucking speeding ticket
Yeah.
because when they break down, like, they made over $1 billion in profits per year just in Teflon, and they ended up settling in court for like 600 million.
Yeah. 670 million.
So not even a year's worth of profits, and they're settled.
Yeah. And Teflon came out in the 50s.
Yeah, so you're looking at over 60 years. So
Yeah.
at that rate, you're talking about $60 billion, and they had to pay 670 million.
Yeah.
Like,
That's not even 1%.
yeah, it's nothing.
Barely 1%. So,
Bob, it's not on Netflix. It's a new release. It's a newer release. So if you go about it the correct way, you'd have to either rent it or purchase it, or if you have other means, then you can do that.
yeah.
But it's
Now,
a very interesting story.
okay. So when I first clicked on it, you were telling me it's kind of a bio doc, kind of it's an entertainment doco, something like that.
Like a
So
docudrama.
yeah, something like that. So I'm thinking, okay, we're talking not Super Size Me. It's somewhere in between Super Size Me and fucking National Treasure, right? National Treasure clearly is a documentary,
Absolutely.
but it's somewhere kind of settled in between there. And then I saw it was a 2-hour runtime, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be. There's a bunch of lawyers involved, and there's this and this and this, and like this is gonna be a pain in the ass to watch. And it carried 2 hours like nobody's business.
Yeah.
It was fucking fantastic from start to finish. The only real problem I had with this movie is you had to keep up with people, and you had to keep up with timeline, right?
That is the one thing, is that it does, you move through a large chunk of years.
Yeah. So it starts out in 79, I think, something like that, and goes through into essentially present day. I think the last time they showed it, showed a little snippet down there was like 2008, something like that.
Yeah.
So it eats up a very long span of time. But one thing I did find that was kind of funny about this whole thing is, towards nearing the end or the closure of the movie, Tim Robbins goes to him and says, look, you're going to have to take another pay cut because this is literally costing this law firm its ass. We're losing money hand over fist. And then he settles with DuPont. The first settlement was for $3 million. The second case he tried was for $12 million. The third case he tried was for $19 million. Then they settled out of court for 600 and some odd million dollars.
Yeah.
All the fucking money, the whole time, assuming he only gets 10% of that in lawyer's fees. He just made them more money than they would ever spend on his salary. And there was no real closure as to whether Tim Robbins came back and said, you know what? You've done it. You deserve this. Take care of what you need to take care of. Don't worry about money anymore. Your salary is secure for the rest of your life. You get X, Y, and Z. Because at the end of the day, there was a lot of money being thrown around, and there's got to be some sort of closure as to is he much better off now than he was back then.
And I think
Right.
that's a conscientious decision on their part, because
To
I'm
kind
sure
of
they're
leave it out.
they're trying to portray him as like, and I'm not saying this as a slight, they're portraying him as like a hero type dude, right?
Yeah.
He was going to do the right thing regardless of what it cost him, and
Which he did.
But I think
if that's what they were trying to portray him as, they nailed it.
yeah, and I think if at the end you bring up that, oh, by the way, now he's a millionaire, which he probably is,
Oh, multi.
then it doesn't take away from it, but it's like it kind of does.
But it doesn't, because he literally risked everything. He risked his family's well-being, he risked his marriage, he risked his profession, he risked his name.
He risked his fucking life as far as I'm
He
concerned.
put everything on the fucking line to go after a company that he knew was corrupt. And what shot him in the goddamn foot is, right? He calls this guy and says, "Look, we want to expand the scope to all chemicals." And what did they do? They tried to bury him in fucking paperwork, which is, that leads into another sector of the universe that Steven and I are both in. When it comes to litigation against a government or against a gigantic corporation that has the time, the resources, and the political pull behind them to be able to do something like that, if you think they won't go to those fucking measures, you have lost your mind. So what did he do? He fucking sat down and started reading and pulled out his little yellow notepad and started slapping labels on things. And Bob Shorkey says, but Teflon is still a thing. You're absolutely right, it is.
Yeah.
And if you get cancer and it gets linked to C8, you can still sue DuPont.
That's the thing, that a part of the settlement that they agreed upon was that, well, and I don't know how that works exactly, because as I understood it, the litigation is that they're responsible for covering any medical ailments in West Virginia that are linked to C8. I don't know about national.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you live in West Virginia.
Yeah, indefinitely, if somebody has a medical problem that is linked to C8 in West Virginia, DuPont has to foot that bill. That's a part of their settlement. So, but
forever.
It is amazing how it mirrors what you were talking about, the industry that we're also in, that you see government corruption.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you think a company won't push a harmful toxin as long as it's profitable, you're just not, I don't know, you're seeing the world through a different lens than reality.
Way in the sand and up your ass at the same time.
Like,
but
it shows the difference between, like, I know people always talk about like corrupt governments and stuff, and that's kind of why I wanted you to watch this movie, because I know how much of a it's not, this isn't really a conspiracy theory, but it's definitely in that vein, in that it's against the narrative.
Going through the first part of it, it's very conspiracy theory-ish.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then you find out it's grounded in nothing but reality, right?
Exactly. There is like physical internal documentation that this is proof positive, no questions about it.
And I've always been more of not so much into the government conspiracies, but companies. I think companies are the source of a lot of problems, right?
Oh,
because
yeah.
As soon as you put someone in a position of authority and their whole driving force is the bottom dollar, right? I want to maximize profits whatever way that I can. You have things like fucking Facebook, Twitter, you have things like this, the Teflon, DuPont. You have all of these different companies that do some extremely shady shit. And it kind of just gets looked over as long as the bottom line is good. As long as they're making money, it is what it is. And if they do something too fucked up, they pay the speeding ticket and they keep on going their merry way, and nobody gives a shit. Like, how many people had heard anything about this Teflon thing? Fucking nobody. Nobody. A company admitted that they killed their employees with a fucking chemical, birth defects, like, and an entire state they essentially poisoned. Nobody fucking hears about it. Knowingly. And then covered it up.
Yeah.
And they get a slap on the wrist. And it's over. It's done.
So, look, I am one of those people that I don't trust big corporations to tell the truth on anything. I don't trust tobacco companies. I don't trust power companies. I don't trust gas and oil companies. I don't trust energy companies. I don't trust any gigantic fucking company that looks at people as numbers on a stat sheet. I just don't trust it. I don't trust the government for the same fucking reason.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we have a social security number for a reason because we are all just a number on the fucking government payroll. But that's neither here nor there. This is something that, like, if you're a conspiracy theory kind of person and you enjoy digging into shit like this, do yourself a favor and go watch this. This is literally a I wish I could give it a 5, but because you do have to pay attention and I'm very hard of hearing. So like at certain points in the movies, I had to be like, whoa, fuck, what did he say? And rewind it. It was still a little bit low on the volume side. But that's something I wish I could give it a 5, but I'm going to give it a 4.5 all day. When this comes out on Blu-ray, this will probably be the next movie that I actually purchase.
I mirror. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 as well. The only reason I can't give it a 5, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I can't give it a 5. I just don't think this is a 5, but I think it's about as fucking close to a 5 as you can get without
Yeah.
being one,
I
right?
wish I could give it a 4.75,
Yeah,
but
like,
we don't do that.
yeah, we go in half increments, but this is a phenomenal movie. This is on
Yeah.
the high end spectrum of 4.5 out of 5. Like, the acting is great, the pacing is great. This is a 2 hour movie that is taken up the majority of with like litigation and all this stuff, and it doesn't ever drag. Like, there's
Yeah.
never a point where you're like, well, fuck, let's get to the next scene. Like, everything that happens in the movie, this is like one of those movies where we're talking about where like they've trimmed all the fat. Like, there's no unnecessary scenes. Like,
Yeah.
even the things that you think are unnecessary are like character building, or like it kind of expands on the relationship between him and his wife. And then so when shit starts going sideways and you realize that he's willing to risk his fucking marriage because he thinks he's doing the right thing, and it's like that says one thing, and then his wife being willing to stick by him, that says a whole another thing.
Yeah.
Like, that had to be rough on her too. Her husband was never
Well,
fucking there. She basically had to raise the kids by herself because he was always in the fucking law office trying to figure out, going through fucking files and files and files against this company. So I mean, it's a phenomenal movie.
and
So
also at the end, after he has his medical episode, and Tim Robbins, who is the managing partner of the law firm that he belongs to, is standing there. He looks at Anne Hathaway and he goes, "If there's anything you need, just let me know." And there's a pause, and in that pause, you can tell she's had enough. And she looks at him and goes, "I need you to stop treating him like a failure."
yeah,
And that right there changed the entire dynamic between, where he came from and where he was going in the future. Because it's like at that point they had put so much restraint on him and held him back and took his pay away from him and all this, that, and the other, that like that was the tipping point. Like he's seconds away from a fucking stroke and you're still treating him like he hasn't uncovered some of the biggest corporate corruption on the planet. Fuck you. Stop treating him like shit.
yep,
So another thing that they snuck in, and I don't know if you watched all the way through the credits, but spotted throughout the credits, there were cameos in the reception of the actual husband and wife that are played by Mark Ruffalo and Anne Hathaway. There was actual people from the law firm that were in that gathering that they were at, whatever it was, the Ohio Chemical Alliance or whatever the fuck it was. Uh, and then the guy at the end with the fucked up face, that was
That's
actually the guy.
yeah, Bucky
Yeah,
something.
Bucky. Yeah,
But that's the real guy, and he's one of the children of one of the women that worked on the Teflon line, born with a birth defect where his face is
he,
like
he's got one nostril
yeah,
because his nose grew completely in on one side. He's got one nostril. His eyes are really really small, and it looks like he has chemical burns all over his face.
yeah,
So
and he played like his actual
his
self
actual self.
in the
Yeah.
movie, yeah, which was super fucking cool that they did that.
Well, and not only that, but it's like you've been watching this movie and you kind of think, is there some creative liberties being taken here? And then they hit you right in the fucking mouth with, hey buddy, you know what the score of the game is? And he looks up and there he is.
Yeah,
Like, this is the dude that I've carried his baby picture around in my coat pocket. This is the dude that I've been fucking pulling for this whole time.
yeah,
There he is right there.
yeah.
Like,
That
proof
that was a
positive.
it
Yeah.
brings it home. Like
Everything circles back around in that movie, man.
yeah,
It's a great. I would definitely put this in. I would say it's a great movie.
oh yeah. I'd call it a must see.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 100%, you need to see it. As far as owning it, I mean, I do. I don't know how many times I'll watch this movie, but I think it's definitely a must see. So
Oh,
either rent it or buy it, one of the two, because movies like this, they need to do well. Like
yeah.
you don't get great movies all the time, and this is one.
Not
So
that it needs to do well. It deserves to do well.
exactly, because
It deserves it.
I would rather see a movie like this than the Avengers 19. Okay? Like, we've got enough of these summer blockbuster movies that come out every fucking month that it's essentially the same thing, recycled plot lines and CGI action. Like, this is a movie where the character and the story and the plot is all just, it's done phenomenally well. I wish I could give it a 5.
Yeah. I
So,
would say if we were going in three quarter increments, I would say we could do a 3.75, but I mean a 4.75, but 4.5 is what it gets. It's a 9 all day long.
9 out of 10.
All day long.
So, that's Dark Waters. Watch it,
Yeah.
please.
Definitely.
Watch
Enjoy
it,
it.
and if you will, leave a comment. Actually, regardless of if you watch it or not, I'm just curious to see. Leave a comment if any of y'all had heard anything about this whole thing before. Like, had y'all heard anything about this? The whole Teflon and the C8 and DuPont settling out of court. Had anybody heard anything, or did that completely miss you? Because I'm curious to see if how many people, if any, had heard anything about it. So, but that's Dark Waters. Highly recommended.
Yeah.
So, Uncut Gems. Speaking of
Uncut
great movies.
Uncut Gems. Okay. So you got the stats pulled up. Go ahead with that.
Yep, Uncut Gems is directed by Josh and Benny Safdie. Uh, it is obviously starring Mr. Adam Sandler, that guy right there. It is about 135 minutes long. Had a budget of 19 million and a box office of 50 million. So,
So it did. All right, run those numbers by me one more time. I got a thing in my email was dinging.
budget of 19 million, box office returns 50 million.
So
And it's so weird because it was released worldwide on Netflix, excluding the United States for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get why they did that. But yeah. So 19 million budget against a 50 million return. So I mean, it was a success. It's not like a fucking
No.
resounding success, but it made its money back.
Well, and then some.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think 19 million probably doesn't account for some of the advertising money that they spent and everything.
Yeah.
Usually you need to make back at least double what your budget is to break even. So if you go by that logic, it probably made about 10 million.
Yeah. But
But
okay. So all right. Steven and I have both been to the Mohegan Sun Casino, so it was nice to see that as a partial backdrop to the movie. Uh, I've personally been to New York City, so I've seen some of the places. However, I work elbow to elbow with Scott Zegans on a regular basis. On a regular basis. And I've grown accustomed over the years to the way he talks, the mannerisms he has, kind of the way he does business. He's a great salesman. He's a great business guy. He knows how to talk to people, and there's a certain kind of, you know,
flow.
yeah, to the Jewish people from New York, right?
Yeah.
They act and behave a certain way. So watching this movie was really hard for me to watch because it's all over the place. It is fucking scatterbrained. I don't know what the fuck is going on. 3/4 of the movie, I have no fucking clue what is going on. Right? I know that Kevin Garnett comes into his shop and he's got some fucking stuff, but he takes his ring to clean it and then goes and pawns it and then bets the money that he got for the fucking ring. And now where's this? And it's just, it is a phenomenal clusterfuck.
Yep.
Right? That movie gave me anxiety so bad. I had to literally go outside and hit my little CBD to kind of be able to calm down and like not feel like I'm having a fucking panic attack.
Yeah.
It was a strange movie, but it was a true story. The guy in that movie that the goons come into his store and they snatch the guy's shirt and all that kind of shit. And when he goes into Adam Sandler's office, he says, "Hey, they fucked up my shirt, man. I can't take this anymore." And he's like, "Here, put this on. It's a Gucci shirt. It's $500." Right? That guy, when he left Adam Sandler's shop, he went and opened up a very well-known jewelry store that is in New York to this day that GQ uses as their jewelry consultant when they're talking about rappers' jewelry. You know, rappers wear a lot of jewelry and shit like that. And I'm fascinated by how rings and watches and chains and pendants are made and stuff like that, how they get those diamonds in there and stuff. And so I knew the guy that was playing this guy. He was an actual dude. The dark-haired girl that works for Adam Sandler in this movie is a personal friend of Scott's. So like Scott's watching it in the theater and he jumps up and he's like, "Oh my God, I know them."
Yeah.
You know, he's making a fool out of himself, but it's just a fucking nightmare to watch. But it is so well done that like, even though I almost had a class 1 panic attack, it was still a phenomenal movie.
Yeah. Well, and I
Phenomenal.
think it's filmed purposely to make you anxious. Like
Yeah, it's
that,
Blair Witch Project.
yeah, the purpose of the movie is to keep you on edge. So Adam Sandler is essentially a gambling addict in this movie.
Yeah.
Like he is the textbook definition of
Of
an
a
addict.
degenerate gambler.
Yes, like so the story presents itself as if it's going to be centered around this gem, right? This opal that he's found that he's thinking he's going to make millions off of. And at first you think, okay, that's where the story's going. But that takes a back seat. The focus of the movie is that this guy, even when he gets ahead, it's only to re-gamble it. Like,
Yeah.
and so that's where the anxiety comes in. It's like, dude, you could have gotten out of debt already about 10 times
Easily.
in the first like 15 minutes of the movie. Like, Garnett comes in and he offers to buy the stone straight off of him for like $175,000. That would have taken care of the debt that he had. Like, he'd be good. But he didn't want to do that.
Right there.
He wanted to reinvest it. So he said, oh, well, I've got this museum that I'm going to take it to. They've got it appraised for $1 million. But then it turns out that they reappraise it, and they appraise it at like $100,000, which is even less than what he thought he was going to get. So then he has his uncle bid on it to get in a bidding war with Kevin Garnett. And the whole time you're just like, what the fuck are you doing, you psychopath? Like,
exactly.
Like, what are you fucking doing?
Like,
but
first of all, you realize that this fucking 6'8" person standing in your shop makes $9 to $10 million a season playing basketball. Sell him some fucking watches, dude. You want to make your fucking money, figure out where your money is, sell him the fucking watches. Sell him some of those goddamn Furby pendants.
Yep.
Sell him something. If you're a fucking salesman, sell him something. And then take that money and say, here, get out of my fucking shop. Leave me the fuck alone. Done. But it doesn't happen that way.
No.
Because he's a fucking idiot.
But I don't even think it's that he's an idiot. It's that he's like a fucking crack addict, man.
Yeah.
Like, all he's worried about, I don't even think he's worried about getting out from under his debt so much as he is the process of gambling. Like, he just wants to win. Like, that's his thing. That's where he gets off. Because there's a point in the movie where he makes a insane bet on Kevin Garnett. Like, makes an insane bet.
Yeah, $175,000.
Yeah, $175,000 that he could have used to get out of the debt that he was already in. But he makes a bet. He bets all this fucking money, and he wins the bet. But it turns out that the guy that he owes money to, closed the bet, nulled the bet before it was able to go through.
Yeah.
So, it's just, I don't know. It's like a roller coaster. It really, like, this movie is the definition of a fucking roller coaster because it's like nothing but ups and downs. Like, you think, okay, he's good, and then he fucking crashes, and then he kind of builds his way back up to where he could make everything right, and then he makes a dumb fucking decision, and it's all
crashes
downhill.
Again.
Now, what did you think about the ending? Did you like the way it ended, or no? Because I feel like this is where it really splits the audience.
Okay. So this is based on a true story, correct?
No.
Okay, it's not?
No.
Okay. So with that in mind, I thought it was literally the perfect ending to the movie.
Okay.
Because he goes out, he puts 175 G's on the table. He says, fuck it, it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. Either I'm going to win it all or I'm going to lose it all. Either way it goes, the motherfucker in there is going to shoot me dead. The dude locked in that room has got my number. So he put it all out there thinking, if I win this bet, I can give him his money. He can go on his merry way, and they'll just consider it watching a basketball game from a really tight quartered room.
Yeah.
Right? I knew what was going to happen before it even happened. Because if I was in that situation and I got locked in that fucking room, the first thing I'm going to do when I get out is shoot a fucking hole in the person that put me in there.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. Right? So I kind of expected it to go that way. But when it happened, I was like, oh my God. No.
Yeah.
Because right before he locked them dudes in the room, he has a breakdown in his office with the girl he's in love with, and he's like, "Oh God, I'm such a fucking loser. I'm an idiot. I gotta stop this shit." But I can't stop. So here's all the money. Go fucking gamble it away.
Yep.
It's like, dude, you have the cash. Pay the dude the 100 G's. Keep the 75. Get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
He can't do it. He can't do it. So I look at it like this. That is the only way that movie could have ended that would have been satisfactory to my feelings about the whole thing.
It was an interesting ending because especially when it pans back towards his face and he's got like the smile on his face, like as far as that character is concerned, he went out on the highest note that he could have went out on, winning the biggest bet that he ever could have placed. Like there's nothing like if you think about it, that character, like say he didn't get shot, he gets that money. What's he gonna fucking do? He's gonna end up losing all of that fucking money trying to gamble and recreate that high that he just fucking experienced. So either way, he's either gonna end up dead or miserable. Like, so for him to go out in that way on top, it was kind of the best thing that could have happened to him. But what was also interesting about the ending to me was that every character in this movie is so focused on like short term, immediate, right? Like the girl that he's in love with, like she almost blows the fucking weekend right in the bathroom because immediate, like that could be success for her immediate.
Yeah.
She's not thinking about what it's going to do to her relationship. Like she's not thinking about the long term. She's just focused on the here and now. He's the same way. Adam Sandler's character, the fucking guy that shoots him and those goons, you can hear fucking police sirens, right? You know the cops are coming and they're in there casing the fucking joint, taking all the shit. And they made it a point in the movie to show that that fucking door is impossible to open 9 times out of 10. So they're stuck.
Yeah, like they're in there. They ain't getting out.
And they're still taking shit. They're not even thinking about that. They're not thinking about they're about to fucking go to prison or get shot. So that was, to me, that was the craziest thing about the movie was that, and I think that's why the pacing is so fucking frenetic, is that none of them have any long-term goals. None of them are looking towards the future. It's all here and now. And so everything they do is seen through that lens. And so it's just fucking frenetic. And the whole time you're just like, you think they're dumb.
Yeah.
But it's not that they're dumb. It's just they're focused on immediate goals. So I like the movie.
Crazy. Like, dude, you just did a smash and grab on a jewelry store with a 2-lock door that you can't open both at the same time. How the fuck are you going to get out?
Yeah.
You just killed 2 people in here. How are you going to get out?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like, and it never even crosses their mind.
Yeah.
Like they're happy as shit. I killed that dude and now I'm taking all this shit. I'm going to be fucking rich. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're going to prison, dude. Like that's the ending of the movie. You're going to fucking prison. But it never crosses their mind. So I think that was kind of why the pacing, like I was the same way. The first half of the movie, I was just like, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
The first half, I was just like, this is fucking, it's too much.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's like, you know how 6 Underground was? This is like 6 Underground pacing without the action. It's just like constantly hitting you over the fucking head with a baseball bat. Like, it's just like, fuck. But then once you kind of figure out where it's going and you see the reasoning behind it and what they're trying to accomplish, it made me appreciate the movie more. And on the second viewing, I liked it a whole lot more than I did the first time. Because I knew where it was fucking going.
Okay, so you knowing what the end goal or what the end of the movie was easier to deal with.
Yeah, because I was able to see it kind of more through that character's perspective of like immediate satisfaction, immediate goals. Like all he wants to do is fucking bet. He wants that thrill, and he's just an addict looking for a high. And so once you see it through that lens, it's like, okay, I get why he did everything he did.
Yeah. and it still doesn't make sense, but it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Now, there is something about this movie that I'm not a huge fan of. And that
Okay.
is, I think this movie is, while great, I think it's overhyped.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Okay. Is this a great movie? Yes. But I think that the the buzz surrounding this movie is because it's Adam Sandler and he's playing a serious role, which he's done before, and I think he's done better in a movie called Punch Drunk Love. He played a very serious role and he did a phenomenal job in that movie. But I think that's part of the reason this movie has so much buzz is it's just Adam Sandler and he's playing a serious role and people have forgotten that Adam Sandler can actually act.
Yeah, and he's capable of doing something like that.
Right. So while I think this is a great movie, I've seen that it's made a lot of people's like top 10 list of 2019. I wouldn't put it on my top 10 list.
And that's where I'm going to disagree with you because I definitely would.
See, I wouldn't.
Anxiety attack and all, I think I would put it. I don't think it's a 5, but I think it is a very solid 4.
I'm gonna give I'd give it a 4 as well, and I think that throughout 2019 there have been so many or not so many fives, but there have been a couple of fives and a pretty good amount of 4.5s. So I can't justify this being in my top 10. Is it a great movie? Yeah. Am I glad I watched it? Yeah. Would I recommend everybody watch it? Yes. But it's not a top 10 for me. I think it is slightly overhyped. Same thing I said about Joker. I still stand by that Joker was overhyped. I think this movie is overhyped.
I personally think Joker was a better movie than this, but this one was like, I don't know, man. The fact that a movie, right, a motion picture can give me a borderline psychotic episode before the movie's halfway done is an achievement all of itself,
Yeah.
right? The fact that I had to stop and go take some CBD to come back to finish the fucking movie, that's saying something. That is saying something.
Yeah.
Uh, but once it gets into, obviously they're watching a basketball game that was played in 2012,
Yeah, I think so.
right? Something like that. So like we already know the outcome. I'm a Celtics fan. I already knew what was going to happen. So I don't know, man. Just the whole scene at the end where he's standing there and he's like, "Come on, KD, come on, get the shot," and he shoots the 3, and there it is, and it's like, I don't know, that it was a great movie.
It is. I'll call it a great movie
It's
for
a great
sure.
movie.
I just
Yeah.
I do think that this movie did get overhyped. And I'm not saying it's the fault
I
of the
don't.
movie. It's just it did. There are certain movies that get overhyped, and once I experience that, it kind of I don't want to say it detracts from the movie, but it does a little bit for me because it's
Look,
like
I
you've
don't.
set up this expectation of this, and then to me it's like here, which is still great, but I was expecting this.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And again, I didn't. I didn't watch all the hype and the teasers and all that kind of stuff. Like I'd heard about it, obviously, but I didn't know what it was about or anything like that. All I knew was, Scott's like, "Oh, it's a new Adam Sandler movie, and it's not a comedy." And I'm like, "Oh, that could be interesting." We're talking Jim Carrey, not a comedy, because he's done several that were really good movies that weren't comedies.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I was torn in the sense of like, was this going to be enjoyable? And it absolutely was.
Oh
It
yeah.
absolutely was.
I mean, like this movie's a roller coaster. It really is.
Yeah.
So An 8 out of 10 is nothing to shake a stick at. This is a great movie. I'd say it's a must see.
Most definitely.
Uh, I just
And I mean, if they've already released it in other countries on Netflix, I'm sure it'll
it's
be soon to follow in the U.S.
yeah, it's coming. But it's definitely worth watching for sure.
Yeah.
Would you rate it? So you said it would make your top 10.
Yeah,
Would you
I
put
would
it more
say
towards the bottom of the top 10 or
yes.
okay.
I would say between 8 and 10.
Okay. Would you put Knives Out ahead of this?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Because for me, I think Knives Out is ahead of this.
Well, let's see. I would put me personally. I would put Knives Out ahead of this. I would put Six Underground ahead of this. I'd put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood ahead of this, and I wasn't a fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it's a better overall movie that'll last longer. I don't think this one has the replayability that something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood it will, just because the Diamond District in New York may not be this in 30 years,
Yeah.
in 20 years. That's why I like gangster movies. Gangster movies have replayability because Vegas will always be Vegas. New York will always be associated with the mob. Like you can't change history.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's very deserving of a 4. I think Adam Sandler did a fantastic job in his role.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd even put Dark Waters ahead of this.
Oh, absolutely.
So
All day long.
like
Well, I mean, it's a fucking 4.5. It's a fantastic movie.
yeah, I mean, as far as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like I've watched that movie probably 3 or 4 times since we originally talked about it.
Yeah.
That movie is great. I think I gave it like a 3.5 when we reviewed it. That movie is great.
Well, it got a 7.5, so
I mean,
somebody had to give it a 4.
I think you may have gave it a 3.5 and I gave it a 4 or vice versa. But that movie is something that it kind of grew on me the more that I watched it. So I'd place it above this as well. And that's what I'm saying. 2019 was a really good year for movies, actually. Like looking back on it. So for me, it doesn't make the top 10 list. Still a great movie. Definitely worth seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you didn't watch Jojo
Absolutely.
Rabbit, did you?
No.
So we can't rate that one. That one's
Yeah,
still
womp
just a
womp.
4. 4 out of 10.
No, I gave it an 8.
Um,
It's an 8 because I said I'll give it a 4 until I see it.
Yeah. That's that predetermined rating.
Yeah, the precursor.
But I
It's
believe
easy to give it a 4 and then go back on a 4 than it is to give it a 2 and then raise it up to a 4.
that's true. But I think that's everything.
Yeah, that's it.
And we haven't even talked about what movies we're going to do next week because this week has been such a cluster
Clusterfuck.
fuck of
Yeah.
epic proportions. But you know
It's
what?
been an uncut gem.
It has. It has. It has. So that'll do it. We'll announce the next movies for next week on the Instagram. The handle
Yep.
is directly below us, right there.
2 guys and a trailer.
Go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram, please, so you can keep up with us and be informed on what we're going to be reviewing and talking about. Makes it a little bit more fun in chat when people are on the same page. So
Yeah, have actually watched the movies.
yeah, or actually watch the show. That'd be great too.
Yeah, well, that would be awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's everything. You got anything else, man?
No, sir. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right. Oh yeah, tomorrow night.
Yep.
All right. Later, guys.